Well, good morning. It's Dino here. It is Thursday, September the 23rd, and I'm sitting on the front porch of my house, and I'm recovering from a hernia surgery that I had done on Monday. So as I sit here, you need to know that I'm in a pretty good deal of pain. I've also got a large ice pack draped across my groin that's been a permanent fixture for 3 days now. And I have pain medications coursing through my veins, which I think might actually be a big reason why I feel like there's a need to record this data for posterity. Anyway, you see there's a lot of strange things that runs through a man's mind as you sit here and deal with severe groin pain. So today I want to talk about three things. One, I want to talk about the hernia surgery itself. Number two, I want to talk a little bit about the effects of the pain medication. And then number three, I want to tell you about an interesting iTunes observation. Now, so the hernia surgery itself. So you have to have a hernia surgery because the lining of your abdomen, the muscle tissue there, has become compromised because of a rip in that tissue. Now, when that rip happens, then your innards begin to want to come out. Of course, that's not healthy. It's unsightly, and I can't imagine that it's sanitary. So you need to get these things repaired, and I've just been trying to find the right time, so I've had this hernia for about 7 years. I'm about 15 minutes out of surgery, and the doctor comes in there, and I got to be honest with you, my doctor's not the most optimistic cat. So I said, well, in the end, how did it finally come out? How do you feel? And he used these exact words: Ken, I feel like I did the very best I could with what I had to work with. So I don't know what that means. That's pretty much like kissing your sister. I don't know if that means that I'm a 50%er. Next week maybe I'm going to bend over to tie a shoe, going to have another major blowout. I don't know. See, apparently they go in and they replace the lining of your abdomen with this like a mesh, sort of a mylar plastic mesh product. I don't even know what they attach it to, actually. I just hope that's not a biodegradable product. Prescription drugs, that's another important part of this entire process. When I left the hospital, I was given a prescription for something called hydrocodone to help control the hernia repair pain. And I'm not a big fan of prescription drugs, honestly, because I have never liked the feeling of being out of control of my own faculties. However, this week I've learned to truly respect the prescription and also not letting that prescription expire, because you see there have been 2 occasions when I thought I would just sort of tough it out and see where I was at pain-wise. And in both of those cases, I have ultimately found myself just whimpering like a little girl. And I found that to be not becoming and also not a great manhood role model for my kids. Another thing that you have more time to do when you're really doing nothing else but hosting an ice pack on your groin and popping pain pills is you have time to analyze your iTunes account a little more closely. And it's interesting to see how artists line up alphabetically. For example, this section right here, I've got Bing Crosby, followed by Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, followed by Bon Jovi, followed by Brad Paisley. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of event would you have to have for those guys to all end up in the same room together? It would be interesting, and of course I think it's safe to say that Bing Crosby would probably only show up there in spirit. And then you see things like this, the name Danny Gokey, and I'm thinking, how in the world did that happen? How is that in my iTunes account? And I think that's because it's a shared account with my kids. But you may remember Danny Gokey is the guy that did not win American Idol like a couple of years ago. So I don't actually know why he's in here. We need to get him extracted and thrown out, because these other guys are not going to appreciate him being there. Alright guys, that's pretty much going to do it for my first video blog entry on the hernia recuperation. I need to go ahead and mention my sponsor here today. I'm sponsored by the Old Navy. I think that's because more than likely the new Navy would just kick my butt out of the court and say, sir, you are of no benefit to our country's security, so please leave, they would probably be right, although I think perhaps I could stay at the borders, and I think the value I could bring is I could reason with terrorists. You know, it'd start out something like this. So, you boys from around here? And then, of course, you know, I just kind of get in their heads. Because if there's one thing I can do, people, it's get in your head. See you tomorrow.